Hello and welcome to this week's coffee vlog. It's now Friday the 8th of November and I'm heading home after many multiple deliveries at 7 o'clock. So I've just been to Victoria Craft Beer with their delivery of coffee, Square Chapel with their delivery of coffee, Glor Scandinavian Restaurant with their delivery of coffee, and Copenhagen Bar, the new one, with their delivery. So it's been many on the way home deliveries, plus I've got a bootload of parcels for Hermes to drop off yet. So busy basically. And we had 3 pallets of stuff go out on carrier today as well, which is surprising for a Friday because it's normally a bit quieter. Oh, look, I'm red. So yeah, it's been a pretty hectic week. Last Saturday I did absolutely nothing. In fact, I barely got up. I slept quite a lot of the day. It'd just been with that exhibition in London and then working flat out. I was just done. I was completely done in. So I had a very snoozy Saturday and relaxed and slept and just did nothing really at all. Sunday, trying to remember what we did do Sunday actually. Did do something. Yeah, I don't know. Did a bit of shopping. Dad didn't go to my dad's because we've been away the week Sunday before. So did a bit of shopping. Cutting the amber lights. They're trusting me to stop. Cooked Sunday lunch, chicken lunch at home. And that was about it really. It's not a very exciting Sunday, to be honest, but there you go. It was a bit sudden. So that was pretty much my weekend, not very exciting. Back to work Monday, and yeah, it's been a pretty hectic old week. I had to get through a load of coffee roasting again. I did manage to solve a bit of an issue with the roaster as well. The burner had kept cutting out like it was struggling for airflow, and I couldn't work out what it was. And I cleared most things, I thought, and I tried putting a rod up the central core of the chaff collector, which is pretty hard to get up normally anyway, and a great big lump of solidified chaff dropped out that was obviously it built up on the wall of it and pretty much must have nearly blocked all the airflow. So it turns out that was why the burner kept going out. I'd cleaned everything I could think of, but I'd missed that bit, and somehow it had built up there. So yeah, it's been pretty busy. Oh, do you know, my luck? Pardon me. It's just not in. And then yesterday, on the day that was called Biblical Rains Day in the UK, I had to drive for 4 hours to the Welsh coast. Neffin in the Welsh coast, to be exact. So 7 AM set off in horrendous downpours of rain, absolute floods across the M62. There was rivers running across it, you were fording them. It was absolutely crazy. 4 hours to get to the Welsh coast, back and beyond to Wales, and made it there for 11 o'clock. To do rope training on a 10 kilo roaster. So arrived there, fine, here I am to do your training, and they've got the roaster in this little room at the end of the warehouse. It was a big coffee distributor, but this is their first sort of foray into roasting coffee themselves, and they wanted training on the roaster and I'm willing to pay for it, so I said I'd go along and show them how to use it. They set it up in this room at the end, right at the end of the warehouse. It was a separate room to the warehouse. It was like it'd been built on the back end of it. Relatively small. All the front was patio type windows with 2 opening doors and 2 big windows either side, and that was it. And then the roasters at the back of it with no ducting attached at all. Now, I don't know where in the manual, what we send about information and everything else, he missed the fact that you must have ducting out from your coffee roaster. And I don't really know why the gas engineer who connected the gas up didn't say to him, this gas burner, it needs a flue to send the gas burner emissions outside. So you've got to fit a flue. But apparently not. When he asked, the very nice man, gas engineer, said to him, oh, just open the windows and doors, it'll be fine. Be alright. I'm like, because it's a 10 kilo roaster, it's double my roaster capacity, and I know how much smoke mine produces, and I duct it outside. So I was like, it's going to produce loads of smoke, and it's going to be in here with us. It's like, oh, well, we'll see how we get on. And to be honest, I wasn't driving another 4 hours back home and then coming back another 4 hours next week when it got ducting in. It's like, right, well, we'll do it, we'll survive, but put ducting on. And he's like, okay. So we did it, and there was a lot of smoke. It was horrendous, really. I mean, at least the patio doors were wide open, everything else, and there's plenty of air in there, and we could walk out away from it a bit and then come back again. But yeah, it was awful, really awful. And he's definitely going to get ducting now, because I think he realised that it was not the thing to do. And the worst thing was the cooling, because as it cools, any bits of chaff get sucked by the cooling system and blown out. And of course, because it was blowing out in the room with us, all these bits of chaff and whatnot were falling on us like snow, which was quite comedic, really. So yeah, not great, really. Right, I'm going to go in and sort my parcels out, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back from that little endeavour. Everyone hates me now because I blocked up the petrol station queue, dropping off all those parcels. So nobody's impressed. We'll just move down in case anyone wants to use a pump. And I'll pause a minute and do Mr. Nels's words of wisdom. So if I don't get lynched first. A van there with the AA, I'm presuming he's put the wrong fuel in his van. Oh dear. I'm just going to wait for Mr. Nels's words of wisdom to pop up. Not that there's many of them. Oh, come on, words. Definitely sent them, but they don't appear to be wanting to come and talk to us. Wait a bit longer. Oh, here he is, Richard. Finally, you've arrived. I say that's going to load it, yeah. And Mr. Nellis says, my things for you to talk about on your vlog, the death of my friend called Donald. Is that a movie, or is that actually a friend that you had that was called Donald that has passed away? Anyway, rest in peace, Donald, Richard's friend. I'm very sorry for your loss, condolences. Me, as I've been to Imperial War Museum on Thursday afternoon. Lovely. Dr. Sleep. No idea what you're on about, Richard, but sounds interesting. Rod Stewart doing the Philharmonic 5. Does Callum like Disney? A bit, yes. The range at Birstall to be in for Toys R Us. Right, that's fair enough. Right, so let's see if we can now extract ourselves. Now this woman's taken up the whole of the road just to turn uphill. And we're good to go. So, oh, it's gone very dark, hasn't it? I mean, it is nearly 7:30 now after all these little extra tours I've done. So yes, very interesting trip out to Wales yesterday in the pouring, dreadful rain. Absolutely horrendous it was. Like I say, I made it 4 hours to there, 2.5 hours doing the training, showing how to use the roaster, getting smoked like a kipper, and then another 4 hours back in even more horrendous, wet, rainy weather. Passing multiple accidents. M62, a BMW, had obviously lost it in some standing water and pretty much ripped all the front end off his BMW on the central reservation. But he had at least then managed to guide it somehow to the hard shoulder, which is a bit of a miracle that he didn't hit anything else while hitting the central reservation or crossing all 3 lanes to get back again. And then there was a couple of cars had run into the back of each other, which presumably was just the usual thing, that they drive too close, and then when it suddenly slows down for whatever reason, the one behind can't stop when the front one does, and then they crash into each other. But they caused the motorway to be shut for 20 minutes or so while they tried to move them from the outside lane to the inside. Marvellous, really. But I'm just surprised there wasn't more accidents, because the amount of times literally you went from sort of full 70 mile an hour motorway speed to dead stop, and I mean dead stop, because there was standing water in the road and all the traffic just stopped to crawl through it, because you can't really fly through big puddles of water like that, otherwise it does have pretty disastrous crashing consequences. So all in all, it was a bit of a torrid time trailing there and back, but I managed it, endured and survived. Although I was a bit worn out last night, to be fair. I was a bit worn out this morning, which was ideal because I had loads to do today. And I'm finishing late again, so how marvellous is that? Rock and roll. So, other than working like madness this week, I haven't really done a lot else, to be honest. I know it's a bit rubbish, but I've done nothing exciting. I've watched little bits of, I've been watching Dark Matter and Killjoys again, the 2 series. So they've been pretty good. Then...
Warning, risk zone, speed limit, 30 miles per hour.
I've been doing little bits on Steam blockchain. I've now got 3 token distribution bots on the go. I somehow ended up starting doing one for the Moralians token by suppressing Google on the Steam blockchain. So I've now got one up and running for him, but he wants it tweaking in certain ways. I spent Monday night editing code desperately, and nothing I did changed what it was doing. It was totally frustrating because I was making change. I can see how to do the edits I want to and make it do what I want in the code, but for some reason what I'm changing isn't changing the bot's actual running. So the code that I'm changing can't be the code it's running from. It must hide it somewhere else, but I'm darned if I can figure out where it is. I've tried 2 different bits of code, and whenever I change either of them, it makes no difference to what the actual bot does at all. I just can't find where the actual running code is. I've asked the bot developer, but he's not been hugely, well, he's not responded basically at the moment, but I've no idea. So he could be at Steamfest in which is in Thailand, or he could be anywhere really, or maybe he's just not interested in answering me, because it's kind of just open source stuff, and you know, he's done his particular one. If you want your special one, then you really need to sort yourself out. But it's a bit hard to sort out because I can't figure out where on earth it may be hiding the relevant code. So I've been getting on with that, been studying away. I've not done too many posts because although I've been busy at work, I've been doing a lot of paperwork and sort of doing emails to suppliers, customers, prospective customers, ordering stock. I've been roasting quite a lot of coffee and packing that as well, but it's not really picked up my step count. Of course, yesterday the step count was zilch. I recorded a little bit of a video of the trip. I forgot my dash cam. Well, I was like, I'm going to take it, and then I'd got out yesterday morning at 7 AM, and I knew I had to get off early because traffic was going to get bad if I left it too late. And as I got in the car, I was like, oh, I didn't pick up the dash cam, darn. And I was like, well, I can't go back in because that extra 5 minutes just going and recover it is going to add to the traffic problems. So in the end, I was just like, stuff it, I'll leave it. So I kind of twisted my phone side on and used the phone front camera to try and do a bit of a video, but it only managed to do half an hour, and then it wouldn't record anymore. I presume it ran out of storage, because what it does is the phone offloads everything to iCloud, to my cloud photos, but of course it normally it'll only do that on Wi-Fi. It won't do it on 3G, so it wouldn't do it until I got back home, and then it'd make up the space so I can use it for other stuff. So that kind of ruined it in a way, because I could just do the half hour, but the half hour I got was like the really back wet country roads and things, so it was probably the most interesting bit of the journey, because who wants to see sort of hours and hours of motorway trolling along, splashing through puddles and goodness knows what else, and pouring rain and whatnot. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. I've got to call in the shop on the way home for some supplies, so I'm going to end it here, because I can't really be bothered to try and do a three thingy edit, so we'll just stick here. So have a good weekend and week next week. I'll see you in next week's coffee vlog. Okay, see ya.